The year is 1890, and the air in New York City tastes of coal smoke and raw ambition. But beneath the cobblestones, something new is humming. It is a vibration that starts deep in the earth and rattles the gas lamps on the street corners. It is the sound of a war. This is not a war fought with gunpowder or bayonets. It is a war fought with copper wire, magnetic fields, and public perception. On one side stands the Wizard of Menlo Park, Thomas Edison, a man who has already illuminated the world with his direct current. On the other stands an impeccably dressed Serbian immigrant, Nikola Tesla, armed with a vision that is terrifyingly ambitious, alternating current. The stakes are absolute. Whoever controls the flow of electricity will control the 20th century. And right now, in this precise moment in history, Nikola Tesla holds the winning hand. He sits in his laboratory, surrounded by the strange, beautiful machinery of his own invention. The air smells of ozone, the sharp, metallic scent of lightning captured in a bottle. He is holding a piece of paper that feels heavy in his hands.
It is a contract. To the untrained eye, it is just legal jargon and signatures. But to Tesla, and to the man who signed it, George Westinghouse, it is a mathematical certainty of immense wealth. The terms are unprecedented. George Westinghouse, the industrial titan who dared to bet against Edison, has agreed to pay Tesla $2.50 for every single horsepower of electricity sold. $2.50. It sounds trivial, a few coins. But Tesla, with his mind that works like a calculator, sees the future clearly. He sees the great waterfalls of Niagara harnessed. He sees cities rising in the desert, powered by his turbines. He sees a web of copper stretching across continents. Every light bulb that flickers on, every factory wheel that turns, every tram that glides down a city street will drop coins into his pocket. If the world electrifies on his terms, and it must, for direct current is too weak to travel long distances, this contract will not just make him rich, it will make him the wealthiest human being who has ever walked the earth.
We are talking about wealth that rivals the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers combined. We are talking about the world's first billionaire. But there is a shadow looming over this golden future. Outside the laboratory walls, the war of the currents has turned into a blood sport. Thomas Edison is not going down without a fight. He is a master of the press, a manipulator of public fear. He organizes gruesome demonstrations. Stray dogs, cats, and even unwanted cattle are led onto stages and electrocuted with alternating current to prove its deadliness. The newspapers scream headlines about the executioner's current. Tesla reads these papers with a disdainful flick of his wrist. He knows the physics. He knows he is right. But being right is expensive. George Westinghouse is bleeding money. Building the infrastructure to challenge the Edison monopoly requires capital on a scale that is hard to comprehend. Every mile of cable, every generator, every bribe to a local politician to dig up a street costs a fortune. And on top of those crushing operational costs, there is the contract.
The success of Tesla's invention is becoming its own worst enemy. As the AC system proves itself superior, as more cities sign up for Westinghouse's generators, the royalty payments to Tesla are growing exponentially. The better the business does, the faster it approaches bankruptcy. It is a cruel paradox. The very document meant to reward Tesla for his genius is now the anchor sinking the only ship capable of carrying his invention to the world. Tesla works late into the night. The blue glow of his coils casts long, dancing shadows on the walls. He is dreaming of the future, of wireless power, of communicating with other planets, of ending human drudgery. He needs this money. He needs it to build the laboratories of his dreams. He needs it to remain independent, to answer to no board of directors, to pursue truth wherever it leads. This contract is his freedom. It is his shield against the small-minded men who only care about quarterly profits. But in Pittsburgh, hundreds of miles away, the mood is different. In the boardrooms of Westinghouse Electric, there is no dreaming.
There is only panic. The accountants are sweating. They look at the ledger and they see a red line growing thicker by the day. They see the Tesla clause. The investors are circling like sharks. They don't care about the future of humanity. They don't care about the beauty of the rotating magnetic field. They care about the bottom line, and they have spotted the leak. Get rid of the royalties, they whisper, or we pull the plug. Tesla is unaware of the knives being sharpened in the dark. He is lost in his work, secure in the belief that a contract is a bond of honor. He believes that because he delivered the miracle, he is entitled to the reward. He does not yet know that the laws of economics are far more ruthless than the laws of physics. The pressure is building. It is a physical weight in the air, heavier than the humidity of a New York summer. The system is expanding. The voltage is rising, but the foundation is cracking. The man who invented the 20th century is about to collide with the brutal reality of the 19th. He holds the paper that guarantees his future, but he does not see that it is actually a fuse, and the flame is getting shorter.
Pittsburgh, 1891. The sky is permanently stained charcoal gray by the steel mills, but inside the offices of George Westinghouse, the atmosphere is even darker. A financial panic is sweeping through the American economy. Banks are failing. Credit is freezing. Fear is the only currency that is flowing freely. And in this climate of terror, the bankers looking at Westinghouse Electric have decided that the company is a bad risk. They have issued an ultimatum. It is cold, precise, and lethal. They look at the books and they point to one line item, the Tesla royalties. Mr. Westinghouse, they say, their voices dry as parchment. Your liabilities are unsustainable. You are obligated to pay Mr. Tesla millions of dollars that you do not have. We will not lend you another cent until this obligation is erased. You must merge with your competitors, you must restructure, and you must purge this debt. The translation is simple. Kill the contract, or we kill the company. George Westinghouse is a proud man. He is an engineer at heart, not a robber baron. He respects Tesla.
He understands, perhaps better than anyone else, that without Tesla's motors, his company is nothing but a shell. But he is backed into a corner. If the banks foreclose, Westinghouse Electric goes into receivership. The assets will be sold off for scrap. And who will be waiting to buy them? Thomas Edison. If Westinghouse fails, the Edison monopoly wins. The world will remain in the dark ages of direct current, a technology that requires a noisy, coal-belching power plant every 2 miles. The dream of lighting up rural America, of powering factories in the mountains, will die. Westinghouse has no choice. He boards a train to New York. The journey is long and loud. The rhythmic clack, clack, clack of the wheels on the track must sound like a countdown. He is traveling to ask a man to give up a fortune. He is traveling to ask a friend to destroy his own future. He arrives at Tesla's laboratory. It is a sanctuary of science, a place where the impossible becomes routine. Tesla greets him with the warmth of a kindred spirit. They are two outsiders, two visionaries who have stood back to back against the establishment. But Tesla sees the look in Westinghouse's eyes. He sees the fatigue etched into the lines of his face. The industrialist does not look like a titan today. He looks like a man carrying the weight of the world. The room is quiet. The machines are silent. The only sound is the hiss of the gas jets. Westinghouse does not finesse the situation. He does not try to trick Tesla with legal loopholes. He lays the truth bare on the table, raw and bleeding. "Nikola," he says, and his voice might be trembling. "The banks are closing in. They are demanding I reorganize the company. They are demanding I cancel your royalty agreement." Tesla listens. He stands perfectly still, his tall, slender frame casting a long shadow. He looks at this man who believed in him when the rest of the scientific community laughed. He remembers the early days, the handshake deals, the shared excitement of the first successful tests. "If I do not do this," Westinghouse continues, "the company will collapse."
And if the company collapses, Everything we have built, the polyphase system, the generators, the dream of Niagara, it all ends. Edison wins. The world stays dark. The gravity of the moment settles on Tesla's shoulders. He looks at the contract. It is right there. It is a legally binding document. The courts would uphold it. He could sue. He could demand his money. He could force Westinghouse to pay him every single cent he is owed, even if it bankrupts the company. It is his money. He earned it. He solved the puzzle that had baffled the greatest minds of the age. His mind races. He thinks of the experiments he wants to run. He wants to transmit energy without wires. He wants to photograph thoughts. He wants to contact Mars. These things require gold, mountains of it. This contract is the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. If he gives it up, he becomes just another inventor begging for funding, hat in hand. But then he looks at Westinghouse. He sees the desperation, and he sees the bigger picture. Tesla's mind has always worked in simulations.
He can run entire machines in his head before he ever sketches a blueprint. Now he runs the simulation of the future. Scenario A, he keeps the contract. He becomes a billionaire. Westinghouse goes bankrupt. Edison buys the patents and buries them to protect his DC investments. The AC revolution is delayed by decades. The world remains dimmer, smaller, harder. Scenario B, he tears up the contract. He saves the company. AC survives. It spreads across the globe. It lifts humanity out of the darkness. But he gets nothing. He trades his fortune for his vision. The silence stretches out. It is agonizing. It is the friction point between self-interest and destiny. Most men, 99 out of 100 men, would fight for the money. They would negotiate. They would ask for a buyout. They would settle for half. But Tesla is not most men. He looks at the paper. He looks at the numbers that define his worth. He thinks about the struggle of his youth, the nights spent digging ditches after Edison cheated him. He knows what poverty tastes like. Is he really willing to risk going back there? The air in the room feels electric, charged with a potential energy that is about to discharge. Westinghouse waits, holding his breath, watching the man who holds the fate of his company in his long, sensitive fingers. In a moment of pure, terrifying clarity, Tesla stands up. The hesitation evaporates. The calculation is complete. He does not call a lawyer. He does not ask for a counteroffer. He does not ask to sleep on it. He looks George Westinghouse in the eye, and the expression on his face is not one of defeat, but of profound, almost tragic nobility. "Mr. Westinghouse," Tesla says softly, his accent thick but his words precise. "You have been my friend. You believed in me when others did not. You were the only one who had the courage to see what I saw." He picks up the contract. The paper is thick, high-quality stock. It rustles in the quiet room, a sound louder than any thunderclap. "If I enforce this," Tesla says, "I destroy you. And if I destroy you, I destroy my work. The world needs this power more than I need this wealth." And then he does it. With one swift, decisive motion, Nikola Tesla rips the contract in half. Rip. The sound of tearing paper is the only sound in the room. It is a violent, final sound. In that split second, $12 million, $300 million in today's money, vanishes into thin air. A billion-dollar future dissolves like smoke. He doesn't stop there. He tears it again and again, shredding the legal binding that guaranteed his empire. He lets the pieces flutter down onto the desk like snow. Westinghouse stares at him, stunned. He is a hardened industrialist, a man used to the viciousness of business, and he has just witnessed an act of benevolence so pure it is almost incomprehensible. He tries to speak, but the words catch in his throat. Tesla smiles.
a sad, weary smile. "There," he says, "now you can go to your bankers. Now you can save the company." He has just committed financial suicide to save his brainchild. The immediate effect is exactly what Tesla predicted. Westinghouse is saved. The banks back off. The company survives. And because the company survives, the alternating current system conquers the world. 2 years later, the lights go on at the Chicago World's Fair.
It is a city of light, a dazzling display that proves once and for all that AC is safe, reliable, and beautiful. Soon after, the massive turbines at Niagara Falls begin to turn, sending power all the way to Buffalo. The war of the currents is over. Tesla has won. The world enters a new era. The Industrial Revolution shifts into overdrive. Elevators rise, subways run, assembly lines move, and nights turn into day. The modern world, the world of screens, appliances, and constant energy, is born in that room, in the pile of torn paper on Tesla's desk. But for the man who made the sacrifice, the victory is hollow. The tragedy of that moment ripples out through the rest of his life. Without the steady stream of royalties, Tesla is forced to constantly hustle for funding. He begs investors like J.P. Morgan for scraps. He builds his great tower at Wardenclyffe, hoping to give free energy to the world. But when the money runs out, the creditors tear it down for scrap metal. He watches as others get rich off his patents.
He watches as the world forgets who gave them the light. Decades pass. The sharp, elegant man in the 1890s suit becomes a frail, eccentric figure feeding pigeons in the park. He lives in hotel rooms, moving from one to another when he can't pay the bill. The billionaire that never was. On January 7, 1943, Nikola Tesla dies alone in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. He is penniless. He leaves behind no estate, no fortune, only a trunk full of technical papers and a world that is humming with his energy. Every time you flip a light switch, you are touching the legacy of that decision. Every time you charge your phone, you are benefiting from the billions he threw away. History is often written by the victors, by the men who amassed the fortunes and built the monuments. But the world we live in was built by a man who chose the work over the reward. That tearing sound in 1891 was the sound of a man choosing immortality over comfort. It was the most expensive sacrifice in the history of science. And perhaps, as he sat alone in that hotel room, listening to the hum of the city outside, he knew that it was the only choice he could have ever made. He lost the billions, but he won the future. And looking around at our electrified world today, you have to ask yourself, in those 10 seconds, did he make a mistake? Or did he make the only deal that really mattered?